Hello, welcome to my vegan Q&A. Thank you so much for your questions. They were varied, some were funny, some were a little bit more serious. I want to keep this really lighthearted. If you want to seek any further nutritional information, I encourage you to use Google, ask somebody who knows better than me. Clearly, I'm not a nutritionist, I am just me. Without further ado, question number 1. Do you have a picture of your body before and after? I mean, are you just trying to see my body? The answer is I do not have a picture of before and after. What I will say though is that I personally found that I didn't bloat as much. So therefore I found it easier to have the appearance of a flat stomach. What I will say though is this, that is probably just down to my genetics and how my body digests food, and that will be different for everybody, totally dependent on whatever what are they, bacteria in your gut, something, and that's down to genetics, I'm sure. You know, we're all kind of built the same but also very different at the same time, so please don't take my word that just because that happened for me, that will happen for you. The other thing that I wanted to note when it comes to appearance was my skin. The good Lord blessed me with big open pores, but thankfully I've never had acne or suffered with really terrible breakouts. So like, I'm not wearing any foundation or concealer today. This is just pure me, baby. But I've heard that cutting out dairy for those who suffer with acne can actually really help them clear their skin. In terms of an internal thing, so again, not about appearance, but about how I've actually felt. I genuinely had a huge increase in energy. And I would describe myself as an energetic person anyway, but I've had even more energy since being vegan, for sure. I am the sort of person that would have a cold every winter, but since being vegan, I have found that I just don't really get ill very often at all. And when I do, my ability to bounce back from it is so much better, that's great. It's definitely, so I would say being vegan and having the diet I do has definitely improved my immune system. Question 2, does it bother me when people eat meat around me? This is again subjective, but personally, no. The company I keep will usually ask me, or do you mind if I order this, or do you mind that I'm eating this? And the answer is always no. I genuinely really don't mind. I'm not gonna lie, I might internally just go a bit like, ooh, glad I'm not eating that. But no, each to their own. I'm not the sort of vegan that would ever shove anything down your throat. I mean, I would genuinely love to hear from anybody who has walked past the Cube in the city centre. I'm sure that's not just a Bristol thing, I think that is UK wide. And has been handed a flyer of pictures of, you know, horribly abused pigs and gone, oh, I'm gonna cook plant-based tonight. No, I you know, if that has worked for you, please let me know, but I personally just don't see how that would inspire anybody. So it certainly didn't work for me, because I've been vegetarian since I was 8 years old, so the idea of being vegan certainly wasn't a thing when I was a child or a teenager. I didn't know any vegans growing up, but particularly early in university when I started to meet different people, that idea definitely started to come around a little bit more, but the arguments were always so, you're terrible if you eat meat, you're terrible if you eat cheese, you're a bad person. And I just thought, you make me want to be a bad person even more. Give me that cheese. So it was just so uninspiring. But yeah, if that's worked for you, do let me know. I'm genuinely really interested. I truly believe that if you want to find veganism, you will. You know, if you aren't bothered, then you won't find it, and that's okay. In an ideal world, in my eyes, we would all be plant-based, because not only does it take care of our personal health, it also improves the health of our environment, but also improves dramatically the level of animal welfare, and cuts down on animal cruelty. And who wants to live a life where they contribute to cruelty in literally any way? I personally don't. So, yeah. But I equally don't want to make anyone feel bad for not having the same viewpoint as me, because the world would be a boring place if everybody thought the same things as me. Number 3, can we gain weight eating fruit and veg? So this is a question that I really enjoyed thinking about. The honest answer is yes, but the circumstances would have to be quite odd, to be honest. So essentially, whether you lose or gain weight comes down to whether or not you are in a calorie deficit consistently, pretty much every day for a period of time. That's kind of it. And a calorie deficit, I do know this, but I'm gonna read this description because it's a little bit clearer than the way I tried to explain it earlier to myself. So, a calorie deficit occurs when you consume fewer calories than your body expends. If you eat more fruit and veg, if you eat more calories worth in fruit or veg than you expend in through physical activity throughout your day, then I suppose technically you would be able to gain weight. However, you would need to eat an absolute truckload to do that. So if you're looking to gain weight, there are other things you can add to your diet as a vegan to do that. So, for example, bread, potatoes. I mean, potatoes are a vegetable, but are potatoes a vegetable? Are potatoes a Let me know. I genuinely don't know. I think they're a mineral. Whatever. Isn't a mineral like a rock or salt? Anyway, there are other things as a vegan that you can add to your diet to ensure that you gain weight if that's what you're looking to do. So for example, for me, I would say I eat a fairly balanced diet and I regularly exercise quite a lot. So having a balanced diet is, of course, always the way to go, regardless if you're vegan, vegetarian, or you eat meat. Balance is key, moderation is key with any of these things, I believe. Particularly if you want to stick at something, then you need to be balanced. But I didn't turn vegan and then dramatically lose loads of weight because I still ate bread, pasta, vegan chocolate. A lot of crisps happen to be vegan, biscuits. Number 4, where do we get calcium from? What a lovely change from the usual, where do we get protein from? So thank you for that. There's plenty of fantastic information on YouTube, Google, just make sure that it's a reputable site. I personally have studied a little bit of vegan nutrition, so I have lots of notes about where protein, fats, B12, iron, calcium, vitamin D, all sorts. But calcium is something that I know that I probably have loads of, because calcium is also found in almonds, green leafy vegetables, broccoli. Broccoli is like one of my favourite food ever. Swede, tofu. I love tofu. Soy milk. I have loads of that. And tahini. And they are just some of the places where you can find calcium that's not in milk. So again, so long as you are having that balanced diet and you are having an intake of, you're eating your greens basically, you will have a level of calcium. Number 5, can you explain how dairy is made and why it is not vegan? To me, being vegan is living a life of compassion. So that is compassion towards myself and my own health, compassion towards the environment, and compassion towards animals. So when I think about dairy, for example, I can find the good things about dairy, so the calcium and protein, I can find those things in other foods or other substitutes. Hydration is key, queens. And those substitutes and other things that I find those nutritional values in, they are grown in a way which is better for the environment. So for example, and I want to say now, I don't have any stats for you exactly. If you want stats, please refer to Google. This is just my own experience and my own thoughts about veganism. Also, If you want to find out about the actual the cruelty of the dairy industry, please do your own research. I will not be putting that in this video because I don't think that it's appropriate for all of the audience, particularly that all of the people who have asked me questions. Not many people have actually asked about the cruelty side of things. So if you do want to know, go somewhere else. If you do want to know from me, DM me and we can talk about it, or I'll refer you to some other videos, but it's not something that I personally want to speak about here. Statistically, in terms of the environment, I am going to refer to these stats that are on my laptop here. We're going to look at 3 things: emissions in kilograms, land use in square meters, and also water use in litres. So if you think about it like this, and I don't know whether you were taught about methane the same way I was at school. It comes from cows, so basically they toot a lot and they fart a lot, and then that is what really contributes as one of the main contributors to climate change. Some of our most valuable resources like land and water are going directly into dairy farming and just not being used by actual people. And let's think about it, so many billions of people in the world do not have access to clean water. So, you know, there's a lot of different environmental things that we need to consider here. Number 6, if you got a pet, would you feed them a vegan diet? No, I wouldn't. No, because our bodies are fantastic at adapting. Did you know, fun fact, that we were actually, the human race was actually intolerant to dairy until some guy decided to drink out of a cow, and then he thought, I'll tell my mates about this. I'm gonna be a billionaire, quiz in. And everyone started doing it. And our gut changed, which I think is really interesting. So our bodies are fantastic at adapting. However, other animals don't have that ability to adapt quite as well as we do. And also, biologically, their teeth are, you know, they have big canines. I'm thinking about dogs in particular, because if I got a pet, I'd get a dog. They are kind of, eating meat is just what they do. So yeah, I absolutely wouldn't mess with that biology and just, nah, you know, personally, I would just leave it. If you think about the quality of meat that's in dog food, I'm sure it is, you know, the quality of meat that's in dog food that normal people can afford, I'm sure it's really poor and, yeah, not good. Number 7, been vegan for 5 years. What is the worst vegan cheese? Okay, I need to take a second to plug my new single, Love Me Like You're Gonna Lose Me. You can pre-save it, the link is in my bio. I say that because the person who produced this absolute banger is the person who's asked this. I love that you've been vegan for 5 years. That's pretty much the same as me. Worst vegan cheese. Oh my God, what a question. If I am just eating the cheese, you know, raw as it were, so not whatever cheese is on a vegan pizza or something like that, I like cheese that is, I understand what the ingredients are. So I know that it is basically fermented nuts, for example, because that's how some cheese is made, basically out of stewed cashews, and other flavourings and other bits, other, you know, millennial vegan buzzwords. But I like cheese like that, so I know, I can visualise exactly what the ingredients are, which is a fantastic thing that I love about veganism, is that you have to look at each label, which to some people is a chore, but for me, and most of the other vegans I know, they love it because we know what is in our food. So we understand what our body needs, and we generally have a heightened awareness about the random, you know, milk powder. Need I say any more to the vegans watching this? You know, we know what random things are put in crisp flavourings and biscuits and stuff like that. And anyway, back to the cheese. So I like things to be really clear and really simple. I love simple food. I feel bad for saying this, but my honest worst vegan cheese is probably just Violife. I love Violife because it's so accessible. I can go up the road and I can go into my Tesco Express and there will usually always be a block of Violife there should I want it for, you know, a recipe or something, you know, mac and cheese or something like that. But the actual taste of it on its, like, I would never eat a block of Violife on its own. What I'm gonna say is it really depends on the application of the cheese. If you want the best ones, I have loads to say about that. Mouse's favourite, I've put it on my Instagram story so much, but that is my favourite vegan cheese. It's a camembert style cheese, and it has a rind, and it's just it's so good. I've also made my own cheese as well. That is not too difficult to do, which is really cool. I've done it in a variety of ways with nuts, some using yogurt. The other cheese that I'm just, is, nobody screenshot that, Applewood smoked cheese. Now you can get that, it's pretty standard stuff nowadays. You can get that in Asda. It's unreal. If you haven't tried it yet, do try it. I'm really glad that the topic of cheese has come up as well, because let's be honest, as a new vegan cheese is always going to be extremely disappointing to you. I am blessed with the ability to for some reason just take things out of my diet and just get used to it. I'm really, maybe it's just I don't have an addictive personality or something like that, but I just can take things out of my life and just get over it immediately. Particularly with cheeses like Applewood that have got that lovely smoky flavour. I just don't genuinely miss it whatsoever. Number 8, Scott Pilgrim taught me vegans have superpowers. What are yours? I love this question. Thank you so much for sending that one in. That is such a great question. You tell me what you think my superpowers are. I'm just gonna be modest here. No, I'm not. We're leaving modesty behind in 2020. I'm not taking that energy forward in 2021. My superpowers are being able to find the light in almost any situation. I am full of I have an abundance of positive energy pretty much all the time. And if you know me or you've been following my journey for a while, you will know that has just come from a lot of hard work, super empathy, compassion, kindness. I am fantastic at cheering people up. And I also write great songs. I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a really talented songwriter as well. So just putting it out there. So I also asked for some assumptions, and some of them came through and they were vegan themed, so I thought I'd throw them in here as well. Number 1, vegan equals healthy. No. It seems every Veganuary for sure, but also it seems every week there is a new Burger King vegan option, McDonald's vegan option, you know, fast food everywhere. Vegan pizzas now, chocolate, and things that you can really easily pick up in big supermarkets, and sometimes the smaller ones as well. So when I first went vegan, I actually loved how hard it was for me to be unhealthy. It was really hard for me to go into the co-op next to where I lived and pick up a chocolate bar, for example. It was really difficult for me to go and buy some cakes. And I loved that because not only did it challenge me to be healthier, it also just stopped me being lazy. If I wanted to have cake, I needed to bake it. If I wanted to have a pizza, I needed to make it myself. And it forced me to not be so lazy, basically. So I loved that. However, it's changed dramatically, even just in the past 5 years or so. And it is now easier than ever to be an unhealthy vegan. You know, simply put, potatoes exist as well. And regardless of whether they are a vegetable or a mineral or whatever the hell they are, they also can be chips, crisps, roast potatoes. So just because it is vegan does not mean it's healthy whatsoever. If you are considering playing with plant-based food, then why not just like a little sprinkle of some substitutes in what you're going to eat. You know, if you're out and about and you want a chocolate bar, try something vegan. There are some fantastic chocolate bars out at the moment. My favourite at the moment is the No Mo range. It's actually no mo as in no more missing out, which is it's so true, honestly. It also recently brought out a salted caramel bar, and it's banging because it's salted caramel as in how a dairy, Cadbury's dairy milk caramel bar used to be. So you have the chocolate and you have this like liquid caramel. And I'm just a sucker for anything salted caramel anyway. And last but not least, vegan diets are not suitable for children. Now again, this is one to talk about with a nutritionist, whether you are just generally intrigued or considering making your whole family plant-based or whatever it might be. Do seek some professional guidance on that. However, there are significantly more, as there are unhealthy vegan fast food items, there are significantly more vegan foods that are actually directly aimed at feeding babies, toddlers, and young children. I actually live next door to a vegan family with children, well, a child, and she is the most energetic, bouncy child I've ever seen, which is so similar to the energy difference I experienced when turning vegan. And it's just nutritional education and just ensuring that your child does get what they need. But I know, for example, Alpro, who make alternative milks, yogurts and desserts, they have a range that is specifically for feeding babies. They basically have a range which is like replacing follow-on milk. It does exist, and it's specifically tailored for children, and I don't think they're the only brand that does it as well. I would say though that the only thing which I think is an interesting discussion point is whether socially that changes much for the child. I know, for example, family next door, she has a wonderful form teacher who will ensure that there's always a vegan option whenever they have pizza lunches at school or whatever it might be. So she's really fortunate, but I know a lot of children might not be in that same situation. And I'm sure, it might give room for some sort of teasing, for example. So that's definitely something to consider. However, I do think we are coming out of this dark age of people not considering other ways of living. I do believe it's becoming, of course, as we know statistically, more and more popular. So, and I'm sure that will filter down through families and through generations to come. So I think that will change, but it's definitely something to consider, I think. I've also got one more question which I forgot to include before these assumptions, and it was, do you own any vegan shoes? Which is a great question. I am a huge fan of Dr. Martens. I love the majority of their styles. As a low maintenance gal, I love footwear that will just last for ages, and I don't have to keep like replacing things and buying new styles at the end of every season and whatever. That might change, but that's how I feel about it now. So I love my Jaden boots, are an absolute staple. If you follow me on Instagram before, you'll notice that I have posted about them dying. They've died their death. I've had them for years and years and years. I actually bought them prior to going vegan. And I bought my other Dr. Martens. I always have a pair of sandals and a pair of heeled boots. I used to have more as well. But I bought them before going vegan. And there's nothing more wasteful than having these animal products, deciding to go vegan, and then getting rid of them. Like, just no, in my opinion, that is not the way to go. If that makes you feel like you're doing it right, then go for it, genuinely. But that is not what I wanted to do at all. I wanted to be the most sustainable version of myself as possible, and it makes no sense to just bin an animal product. Like, that's just crazy. Similarly, if I spot a pair of leather Dr. Martens just because I like them on eBay, if they're secondhand, I don't see any problem with giving them another lease of life. So the answer to your question is no, I don't. And would I? Yeah. If the materials were sustainably sourced, then yes, I would. And if I felt like they were going to be more suitable for their use than a non-vegan shoe, then yeah, I would. But for me, I would weigh up the options when it comes to that. Also, how I feel about any of this veganism stuff is subject to change, you know, and this is just the way I see things in this point right now. So if anybody sees me buying a leather pair of shoes or whatever that are brand new, then nobody can tell me off, it's my life. Yes, Gola did a range of vegan shoes. I think they came out last year. And again, like food, more and more brands are seeing that veganism is becoming more popular and they're, you know, bringing out vegan versions of everything. But they have a really lovely range of their classic trainer, and it comes in a variety of different colours. And I think like the suede is made of like, what is it made of? Oh, it doesn't actually say, to be fair. But other shoe companies do things like suede being or leather being made out of pineapple peel and stuff like that. You know, it's fascinating what people are doing, because I think so many are realizing you just don't need to get things from an animal anymore. You just don't need it. You can get things from so many other places and so many other sources. So yeah, that brings my Q&A to a close. I really hope any of that has been helpful. If you want to discuss it further with me, let me know. If people have way more questions after this video, I will happily do another. I don't mind. This is not a Veganuary only situation. I'll talk about this whenever, all year round. And yeah, I really hope that you just have fun with it. I think that's what the main thing is. And don't get annoyed at yourself if you're having a vegan day or week and you have something accidentally or on purpose, if the moment calls for it, that has dairy products in it. I think what's also important to know is that veganism is just not black and white. You're not with us or against us. It's not about that. And it's also not about you're either completely vegan or you eat meat. It is not about that at all. It is a real scale. It is really, you know, people can dabble with plant-based eating and lifestyles one day of the week, and that makes things better. It makes you a little bit healthier, it promotes environmental balance, and it also reduces animal cruelty as well. And if you want any recommendations for any particular substitutes, just let me know. And DM me if you have any requests, I guess. Have a nice day. Bye.